NFL commissioners sent out a memo last night and let teams know that the league is committed to holding the draft as scheduled. So that means April 23rd, 24th, 25th. It's go time for every team and every fan. A lot of people in the NFL are against this because of the draft prep being derailed by the coronavirus. The people, scouts, GMs, coaches, even players can't do their due diligence to get ready for the draft. And others might question whether it's appropriate considering the circumstances, not only in our country, but around the world. But knowing the NFL, it's not surprising that they move forward because that's a headstrong league. And leaving whether it's right or wrong to the side, the draft is always a lot of fun. And it's certainly going to be interesting. And it's an event that's popularity has grown exponentially through the years. And unlike the playoffs and a big chunk of the regular season, the draft is a great night, great couple of days because all 32 teams are in play. And it's an event that's filled with optimism and hope. If they can pull it off with full respect to public safety, it could be a success and a welcome reprieve for a sports-starved nation. I don't know what kind of discipline the commissioner would hand out, but he said that if you violate this, there will be repercussions. I want to give you the exact wording on this. He wrote in the memo, public discussion of issues relating to the draft serves no useful purpose and is grounds for disciplinary action. John Elway and the Saints GM Mickey Loomis publicly said they were in favor of delaying the draft. I'm not sure where people stand on this. It feels like it's more in-house with the NFL people. They're just saying they can't do their jobs. I know a couple of people have said publicly that the optics are not good, that you're doing this. The way I view it, and I might be in the minority, I think we need some things. I think we need, as long as they can still do their jobs, we need an outlet. I mean, this isn't a football game. It's a draft. They're going to do it the way they used to do it. You know, you're going to have phone calls that are made. You're not going to have the draft picks there. NFL, you know, the people covering this are going to get creative with this. I'm fine with this, but I might be in the minority. There's nothing wrong with a little diversion here, and if it's something that we can watch, there's only so much you can watch on TV. And after a while, you just go, I can't watch anymore. And maybe this is something that will go on. I think the numbers will be big, and it'll be a success. But Roger Goodell's doing what he's supposed to do. Take the slings and arrows. He'll be the bad guy. That's what he gets paid to do. But the memo warning against public comment, I found interesting. That I think Adam Schefter got this, obtained the memo, and said that he's going to the commissioner is going to warn those around the league who criticize the league's stance on this. Ed Werder joining us. Ed covers the Cowboys, of course, for the mothership. Hi, Ed. How are you?
I'm well, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing okay. The show got nominated for a Sports Emmy.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you.
I hope I don't eliminate you from contention with this next segment.
No, that would be for next year. Wait, we're good for this year. All right, are we getting closer to putting an end to the Dak Prescott? Will he sign a long-term deal with the Cowboys?
Well, from what I gathered talking to people involved yesterday, my sense is that they wouldn't say that it's close necessarily, but they say that it's not contentious, it'll get done, and that in all likelihood, Dak, at least briefly, will be the highest-paid player in the league. I think, Dan, one thing that happened here of real significance, Dak spent all of last season playing out the final year of his rookie contract, had his best statistical season, and created all this leverage for himself. But where he lost a little leverage was this coronavirus pandemic that prompted the NFL to cancel the off-season programs that would have ordinarily started on April 6th for the Cowboys, 2 weeks ahead of most others because they have a new head coach in Mike McCarthy. I think that would have created a real deadline for the Cowboys to get the deal done because they weren't going to start the offseason without their starting quarterback. And now that that's gone, the only real deadline that we know of that exists at the moment is July 15th. That's the deadline for franchise tag players to sign multi-year deals with their current teams. I think both sides hope to get done in advance of that. I'm just saying that they lost the pressure that ordinarily would exist with the start of their off-season program under Mike McCarthy looming in just a couple weeks.
Help me if it's the numbers, the dollar amount, or the years with Dak Prescott that was the holdout. Or maybe it was a combination.
Yeah, I think it is a combination. My understanding is that there's no agreement at this point on the length of the contract, but I think the issue or the value of the contract, but I do think the issue of length is very significant in that, Prescott and his agent Todd France want 4 years so they can negotiate again soon after the NFL has new money from the upcoming TV deals. And the Cowboys' philosophy has always been that they want longer contracts so that they can spread the signing bonus across more time and limit the players' charge to the cap the first few years. Like an example would have been Amari Cooper. They signed him to a 5-year contract last week at $100 million, but his first-year cap number is only $12 million. The cap number every other year is $22 million. So that creates, first-year flexibility for them in other areas. And then Dak Prescott, he wants 4 years, and he can say, hey, Aaron Rodgers, Jared Goff, Carson Wentz, Russell Wilson, they all got 4-year extensions as quarterbacks, and they had a year remaining on their contracts. I played my deal out. Why shouldn't I get the same thing that they got? I played at an incredibly discounted cost as it is.
The sudden retirement of Travis Frederick, how big a hole is that going to be to fill, and does that change Dallas's draft strategy at all?
The interesting thing about Travis Frederick is, he missed the entire 2018 season with that autoimmune disorder, Guillain-Barré syndrome. And as much as we talked to him last year, he never claimed that he had returned to the performance level that he had, become his routine before that situation developed and cost him his season. And last year, he played, Dan, more snaps than any other offensive lineman the Cowboys have. That is going to be a significant loss, not only because of that, but he's a very intelligent guy generally and a really smart football player, and he really helped make all the line calls, relieving Dak of a lot of responsibility in that regard. So I think that's another motivation for the Cowboys to get this deal done, that whenever there are allowed to be organized workouts, they're going to want Dak Prescott to take as many snaps as he can get from, 3 guys they have on the roster, Joe Loney, who took over in 2018, a season in which, by the way, without Travis Frederick, Dak got sacked 56 times, second most in the NFL. Last year, with Travis Frederick back, the number was in the 20s. And so they have Adam Redmond, who's a veteran who's taken some snaps. Connor McGovern played a year at Penn State as a center, and they drafted him last year. He missed all of last year with a pectoral issue. So they have some in-house candidates. I don't think they have to spend a high draft pick to acquire a center. But, yeah, that's going to be a factor in this, too.
He's Ed Werder, NFL reporter from the Mothership, joining us on the program. The quarterback move that you like the most in the offseason?
The quarterback move that I like the most? You got to love the Bucs getting Tom Brady. I covered the Bucs back in their woeful years, of which there have been many, back in 1991. They hired Sam Weish. They had Vinny Testaverde, number 1 overall draft pick, Heisman Trophy winner, never came close to realizing the expectations the organization had for him. So they go hire Sam Weish, who is a quarterback whisperer. And his first minicamp practice, none of us could wait in the media to get Sam's impression of Vinny. And so we hustle out to Sam as soon as the first practice ends, and he says, I don't know, I thought he was pretty good, but listening to you guys, I thought he might come out and walk into the goalpost or something. So that's the level of expectation that Tom Brady inherits with the Bucs franchise as it comes to quarterbacking. I mean, they get the greatest player of all time at that position. He's got an awful lot of weapons. And I think it's interesting, Dan, that he goes into free agency for the first time in his career, which he very carefully set up this opportunity and made his own choice for the first time in his career. And even though he's 42 years old and is coming off the worst statistical season in recent memory, and by some measures of his entire career, 20-year career in New England, he still commands $25 million a year. So to me, that says Bruce Arians and the Bucs, and the Chargers were involved, the Raiders were interested. Those 3 organizations all deemed what happened in New England as more the responsibility of Bill Belichick failing to put a quality team around Tom Brady than Tom Brady being a descending quarterback.
Quarterback move you didn't like?
Quarterback move I didn't like. I don't know that there is one yet. I love the Saints re-signing Drew Brees. I like Teddy Bridgewater going to the Carolina Panthers. I guess the quarterback move I don't like is I don't like what the Jets did to Sam Darnold, letting Robbie Anderson go. Robbie Anderson go.
Where do you think Cam ends up?
Really hard to say. I think that if you look at it, there have been a lot of situations recently in free agency where a quarterback has switched teams and gone on to start a Super Bowl. In fact, 9 different quarterbacks have started a Super Bowl after signing with a different team in free agency, and 6 have won the title, most recently Nick Foles and Peyton Manning and Drew Brees. So take that for what it's worth. But, I think Cam's problem is, part of it is that teams who are interested can't give him a physical. And, he's had shoulder and foot injuries. He's had issues with accuracy throughout his career. He's lost 8 consecutive games, and he's thrown 178 straight passes since his last touchdown. And then there are the eccentricities of his personality that are not going to appeal to every coach. I think a lot of people think he's a really good fit for the San Diego Chargers, but, from my understanding and my interactions with people out there, they really like Tyrod Taylor. They know he's not a franchise quarterback, but they think he's a perfect bridge to whoever they might acquire in that capacity, potentially with the number 6 overall pick in the draft in a month.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about with Cam Newton and Jameis Winston. Is it about their football abilities, or is it more of their personality that may have teams shy away?
I don't. I think with Cam, it's injury, it's personality, it's really the fact he hasn't performed at an elite level since he went to the Super Bowl and was a league MVP in 2015. Like, there's been an incredible decline in his performance level. So I think that's the concern with him. With Jameis Winston, I think it is football. I think it's the fact that he's had all of these different coaches who have been attracted to his athletic ability and his throwing ability, who think that they can coach the turnovers out of him, and all of them have failed to do so. Even a guy as respected as Bruce Arians, ultimately who was early in the season making excuses and blaming other players in the offense for interceptions that Winston was throwing until they became so historically numerous he could no longer do anything but hold the quarterback responsible, and decided obviously to take this unique opportunity to make a change at the position. But I covered that Bucs draft when they took him first overall, and the opinion in the organization was he's a football savant. In fact, I remember the general manager who's still there, Jason Light, comparing him to Andrew Luck in terms of memory recall and being able to explain formations and defenses, at the board. But his decision-making really has been his downfall. I mean, league-high 30 picks, 5 fumbles, basically 112 of the points that the Bucs gave up last year came after Jameis Winston turnovers. And so, to me, I think that's the biggest issue with him. And in San Diego, they just had a quarterback who turned the ball over 1,000 times in Phillip Rivers. Why would they want Jameis Winston to be his replacement?
The worst GM in the state of Texas is?
Oh, that's not fair. It's a fantastic question for everybody else.
but you have to see these people, so you can't give your opinion.
Well, I mean, I think one organization has gone through a number of head coaches without having any significant level of success, and so
how about which GM should not be a GM? You have an owner.
I think Jerry Jones should not be the general manager. Okay. Because I just don't think an owner is going to hold the general manager responsible and accountable in the way that they should when they have both roles. So I think Jerry Jones, if I could replace one of the two, either Bill O'Brien or Jerry Jones, with a new general manager, I think Jerry has demonstrated that he's the most replaceable.
But Bill O'Brien, the GM, is going to get Bill O'Brien, the coach, fired.
Well, we'll see. I mean, he's won 4 division titles. I know there's a lot of criticism of him. I don't necessarily agree with the DeAndre Hopkins trades, although I've had people there explain it to me. I still disagree with it. I don't think they got enough in return. I think you have to figure out ways to work it out with players who are that talented, who aren't a distraction on the field. And I don't think Hopkins has ever been a distraction on the field or disruptive around the team, at least as far as we in the media know. And I've covered several of their games. I've never gotten that sense. I've never heard that from anybody. So, but Bill O'Brien, the coach, has won, and he's often won without his best quarterback. So, yeah. I would in the question you asked me, if I had to answer it, I would say Jerry Jones over time has done a worse job as a general manager than Bill O'Brien has in a brief space of time. But there could ultimately be some competition for that.
Thank you, Ed. Have a good weekend. Stay safe, and we appreciate your time as always.
Thanks for saving your best question for last.
That's Ed Werder from the Mothership.
It's 10 a.m. It's about 55 degrees and sunny outside. Still cool enough for chilly weather. Made the chili yesterday. simmered it, put it in the fridge, let it sit overnight. Second day chili, everyone knows is the best. Put it on the Traeger. I'm gonna let it just sit and smoke and warm up naturally, get the smokiness in it. Give it a little stir here and there, lots of tomatoes, lots of sausage, lots of ground beef, onions, peppers, a lot of goodness. Hell of a day to be alive.
NASCAR on NBC analyst, the former champ, now retired, sort of, Dale Earnhardt Jr. joining us on the program. How are you, Junior?
Man, I'm doing pretty good considering. Sorry for being late. I'm usually on time for your show.
That's all right. That's all right. You got other things to worry about there. You were 2 minutes late.
You know, I know, but it's weird how busy I am. When all this kind of went down and everybody was, we've been kind of locked up in the house for about several weeks now. Took it pretty seriously from the get-go, and I thought we was going to run out of things to do, but dang, there's a lot going on around here. Pretty busy.
Okay, but you have a baby at home, another baby on the way. I mean,
yeah.
You think you're busy now? You wait.
I know. I love it though. I really enjoy being a dad, and that first year was pretty tough. Man, I mean, from a dad's perspective, it's tough. It's even worse, obviously, for Amy. So I don't want to complain too much, but it was. I'm looking forward to it again. I mean, we just kind of I was 2 years old, and you'd think that we would be kind of relieved that we're out of that first year, but I'm looking forward to it again. And, we've always kind of wanted to have two kids, and, we're just really blessed to have this opportunity, and just real scary times to kind of be going through this with everything else going on. It's got us pretty nervous, and no non-essential visits, so we can't go to the doctor and get the typical normal checkups that you would get in this process. So that's made us a little concerned, but obviously, Amy's doing great, and just waiting for everything to get back to normal, and trying to stay healthy, and hoping, trying to keep everybody around us and all our families in good spirits, and then keep everything going.
Gotta have patience.
Yeah,
gotta have patience.
Thing like this.
Yes,
yeah.
With everything, even when we move past this, just having patience when you have children, and it's the one thing that you gotta have a sense of humor and have patience, and it'll help you get through this, because you're gonna have two in diapers probably, and just dealing with that and your sleep and all those things, you're gonna be like, and you think driving a race car was tough. That's going to be a Sunday drive, literally, compared to what you're going through. But I did enjoy the iRacing, and explain how this came about, because Denny Hamlin was great at iRacing, and I think that's how maybe you noticed him. But how did this come about that NASCAR was going to do iRacing?
Well, this software has been around for 2 decades, and it's a great service. They offer oval car racing, late models, modifieds, legends cars, about anything you can think of, street stocks, any level. They have the trucks, the Xfinity cars, Cup cars, obviously. They're even more popular on the road course side and globally. Like, there's so many customers on the service overseas playing at all hours of the night. I mean, this is a 24-hour process. There's races going off every hour. It's a really great service, a lot of fun. There's 125 active members right now, 125,000, I'm sorry. So it's growing, but it's been around a long time. It has. And a lot of people, 10, 20 years ago, when I'd tell people about iRacing and how realistic it was and how I used it to help myself as a race car driver, everybody pretty much in the industry would roll their eyes. So it's really funny now that everybody's flocking to iRacing, trying to get sims, trying to get on the service, trying to understand how it works, trying to get comfortable driving cars on the sim. All these people that would chuckle when I would tell them years ago about it are now diving into it head first. But it's had a relationship with NASCAR for a long time. And a funny story, I'll tell you. So iRacing was started by Dave Kramer, who is a software engineer that develops games, and John Henry, owner of the Red Sox. So John Henry's a big sim racing fan. And those two partnered to create iRacing 2 decades ago. And I put together a meeting between iRacing and NASCAR right around 2008 or so. I don't remember exactly when it was. It seems like it might have been a little later than that, 2010, 12. But anyhow, at Junior Motorsports, NASCAR comes in and iRacing comes down from Boston. They're located up there in Boston. John Henry comes. And so we're sitting there, and I'm telling NASCAR about iRacing and how important it is that we form a partnership and they get involved. And John has to step out of the office because he has to take a call because they had a blockbuster trade. Who was the player that they traded, the Red Sox traded back then?
It was who did they acquire or who did they trade?
No, they were trading away their best player, this huge player, big deal.
Now, and this is 2008?
Maybe around 2012, 2010. I forget who it was.
This wasn't the Carl Crawford deal to the Dodgers, was it?
No. This was like bigger than that. But anyhow, right in the middle of I'm sure you guys can figure it out. But right in the middle of the meeting, John has to get up to go talk about this trade because it's happening right now. And it was just a really interesting sort of a lot of things going on at one time. But that's how long that NASCAR and iRacing have had a relationship. And so last year,
wait, was this Manny Ramirez?
Yes.
Okay, so that was 08.
Right.
Yeah, 2008.
Yeah. All right, so I was right. 2008.
Okay.
So he has to get up out of the middle of the meeting to go talk about this trade, finalize, do whatever they do, right? And so I thought that was pretty cool. Anyway,
maybe if you knew it was Manny Ramirez, it would have been cool. All right,
well,
you're on a roll. You're on a roll.
That was 11 years ago.
You've had concussions.
Anyways, the relationship's been there a long time. Last year, NBC got on board and started putting some of the races that happen on iRacing on TV, putting it on NBC Sports Network. And NASCAR has an elite series where kids and grown-ups across the country sort of compete against each other. And they've been putting that and broadcasting it on TV. So it wasn't a foreign idea or some kind of weird, shot in the dark for Fox to consider doing this. They know it's been done before. They weren't sure if they could get all the real world drivers to buy in because a lot of these guys weren't on the sim. They didn't have the equipment, the hardware. So I'm gonna be honest with you, it was a huge scramble in like a week, maybe less, to get as many people as they could with hardware to do it, and then the commitment from the drivers. They didn't have to do it.
I might have been better than Jimmy Johnson. That might be the only time I'm a better driver than Jimmy Johnson, Jr.
In a very small window of time, you were better than Jimmy Johnson. Now,
Thank you.
He's put in a ton of practice since then, and I'm sure he's going to improve greatly. And a lot of these guys have been practicing all week.
But take me to that final lap with you and Denny Hamlin. You're leading, and Hamlin, who's really good at this and a really good driver as well. What was that all?
So with 30 laps to go, I pitted for tires, and then they had another caution. With 20 laps to go, we had a caution, and I could have came down and got tires, and I should have. But I was like, it's too crazy back in the back. They're crashing, and I don't want to get wrecked out. So I'm done pitting.
Wait, do you have a crew chief?
No. I mean, I'm sitting on – we got Discord and TeamSpeak, which are two chat programs where we can talk to our friends. So I'm talking to my buddies, like, hey, what do y'all think I should do? But it's ultimately up to you. And I didn't come down to get tires, and they're an advantage. The tires fall off just like in real life. They get slower as you run, and there's less grip as you drive each lap. And so Denny had a little bit of a tire advantage, plus he's very good. I didn't think he was going to get back up through there like he did. I never even thought I was going to be sitting there with a shot to win, but I'm driving the car and taking the lead, and I'm thinking, wow, I might win. And then here comes Denny to spoil the fun. But
you should have had a virtual fight.
Well, I thought about, in hindsight, I thought, man, I should have just took him out. or I should have just ran him up the track. What's the worst that could happen? But it was a lot of fun. I've had a relationship with iRacing for a really long time, so I'm glad it was an exciting experience for everybody who was watching. Huge boost for iRacing as a platform, and they've gotten so many new customers since that.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
It's been a great experience.
Yeah, they did a great job. Hey, I wanted to ask you about your Redskins. How are you feeling going into the draft here? Are you
really,
okay with Dwayne Haskins as your starting quarterback?
For sure. I mean, yes, because
you could take Tua.
Yeah, but I mean, you have to worry about the injury and whether he can overcome that. And I am so far removed from it that nobody but the insiders really know where Tua is at physically, right? So the concern is that you take Tua and he doesn't ever overcome that itch. Hips are serious deals, man. You don't see a lot of guys come back from hip injuries and do well. But if we don't draft him and he becomes this awesome player, I mean, that's just a risk you take, and I'm willing to take that risk. But Chase Young's a gun. He's an awesome player, once in a lifetime kind of. They're talking about he's like once in a decade kind of player to be drafted for that position. With the other guys that we drafted on defense, especially the defensive line over the last several years, it would just make us really tough on the front line there.
Did you ever think about changing teams?
No. I mean, it could get a whole lot worse. I'm not even came close to considering it. But, there's just not any other teams out there that really appeal to me. And I've gotten so much I've been a Redskins fan since 81 or 82, and I'm too invested, and it is what it is.
So not Carolina. I mean, you never thought about maybe switching your allegiance to Carolina?
That's too close to home. Good Lord. I mean, imagine being a Carolina fan and them having the last couple of decades that the Redskins have had, and you just living right underneath it. I don't know if that'd be any better.
You need your distance.
At least where I'm at in North Carolina, it's up there in D.C. And I'm frustrated and I'm upset, but it's not right under my nose here.
Do you got names picked out for the next baby?
Well, we had a boy's name picked out.
What was
for the
that?
First one that we didn't use. I can't tell you that.
Why? Because you're having another girl.
Oh. No, I don't know that.
Oh, you don't? I thought your daughter said that she was going to be a big sister, so you don't know if
you just had the same exact reaction that I had, Dan, in the moment. Dan, you got to be better than this. You've had days and weeks to see this video and get it. Like, how could you fall for it the way I did?
Okay.
I mean, yeah, we both fell for that. See, now I don't feel so bad. But yeah, I walk in and she's got this shirt that says Big Sister or something on there. I don't know what it said, something about sister. I'm like, how do you know it's a girl? Incredible. And it took me a second to think, like, of course she doesn't know it's a girl. We don't know what it is. I was the sister.
You know what? I'm thinking Trey Earnhardt.
No. I mean, I've got some friends that are Trey, so I don't want to say anything.
Oh, okay. How about just 3?
Say what?
3.
The number 3?
Yeah, just the car number 3. Just call him.
Absolutely. No.
Okay.
We've got a name. It's going to be fine if it's a boy. Now, if it's a girl, that was really hard to figure out.
Well, you could call her Theresa, like the number 3. So what, Paulie?
Well, Dale, all the NASCAR drivers refer to each other like, the 48 car, the 24 car. Name your son 3. The 3's got to take out the garbage.
No, it's not happening.
All right, so you have a boy's name picked out already.
Yeah.
And you don't have a girl's name picked out.
That took us the entire 9 months when I was in Amy's little belly there. It took us forever to figure out a girl's name, and Amy did it. I had no assistance or help in that, but I imagine that it'll be tough to to figure out another girl's name that we like. I don't know why, but that was just tough. That was just a real challenge.
Are you racing this weekend? iRacing?
When so we did that race last week at Fox, big success, and now they want to do it every week, right? And that's great, and the fans can enjoy it, and there a lot more drivers are getting involved. I know that Truex is trying to get going. Harvick's coming in. There's you won't be surprised to see Tony Stewart pop in. A lot of guys are jumping on that weren't there last week. So this thing's going to keep going each week. I've not made like a hard commitment to run every single race. I just kind of have to wait until Sunday and see what's going on in my house. I'm kind of a game time decision. But I plan on racing. But I mean, if something's going on and I can't physically do it, there's other things going on around here that need my attention. I'll have to do those. But yeah,
that's good. That's good. You got other priorities there. Congrats again on baby number 2. And once again, if you want to take 3, I don't want any credit. And if it's a girl and it's Theresa, I'm okay with that as well. I'm sure Amy will be very happy to hear my suggestions. And
I'm never going to tell her about this.
Oh, you're not?
No, she's not need to hear all that.
Okay, that's probably best. We keep it between us. Hey, great to talk to you again, Junior. Thank you.
All right, guys. Y'all take care of yourselves, okay?
That's Dale Jr., former NASCAR driver, maybe current NASCAR iRacing driver. Yes,
I thought of Tua immediately when we just had Dale Earnhardt Jr. on, and he was talking about how you don't really see guys bounce back from a hip injury all that much, and Tua was the first person that popped right in my mind.
McLovin, what's the issue? What's the problem here?
I want to go to what we learned a little early for me. I learned that when Dale Earnhardt Jr. was talking about Tua's hip injury, the first person that Seton thought of was Tua Tagovailoa.
I was wondering if I was on crack. I was like, what did he say?
That's so funny.
I wasn't going to go there. I don't make any claims of this being, highbrow or anything. It's just we're here to talk to you, talk with you. If you want to call, you want to watch, you want to listen, email, tweet, we're here. And we're trying to do the best that we can. We're trying to be smart about this as well. We obviously have families. We have to, we're coming into work, but we're limiting the number of people who come into work with us. And I thought it was smart that if the Danettes could stay at home and still do the show, then that made the most sense. But I want to thank the big German who's come in, Alan, the IT guy, Marvin, who's answering phones, Dylan, who does the graphics, Rob, the intern. That's the staff that we've had in here. And we're trying to limit the number of people. And obviously, we show up for work and we go straight home, and that's it. No stops in between. But we will not be on the air next week. But just to let you know, everybody is healthy. There's no issue with that. It's a studio cleaning. As we continue to move forward, I just want to ensure that we're doing all the right things. But we will not be on the air next week. We'll have some fill-in host. But thank you for everything you've done with the YouTube channel. It's been an unbelievable success. Can't thank you enough for being able to consume it, and I hope you enjoy it. The chat row with everything that you've meant to the show. These are all important things because it's a new normal for us, and we're trying to figure it out as well. But, collectively, we're here for you each day as best we can. So thank you again for everything that you guys do for this show. And everybody who was part of the show prior to our separation, divorce from AT&T, because we got nominated for a Sports Emmy, and there are a lot of people who lost their jobs, wonderful people who lost their jobs. And I thank them, and I tried to thank as many of them yesterday as I could over text message or email that, we spent a lot of time trying to build this up, and we continue to do that every day. But it's important that you play a role with this show. It's not lost on us. And hopefully if you allow us to be part of your day and carve out some time that we can be part of it, it's not lost on us. We really, really appreciate that opportunity here.